The Algonquin, 10 Algonquin communities that make up the nation. And as I was coming down today, and we have the Gatineau River that flows into the Ottawa River, a very important river to the Anishinaabe Algonquin Nation, and I was, even though the river is fairly frozen, I was reflecting, of course, on our ancestors having come down and come up that river and lived and died along that river, and many of the other rivers. Many of you here, I mean, having been involved 40 years in regards to our territory, and I'll speak a little bit about our territory, but in many facets of the social area, that we can use many terms, and we may even want to use genocide. Whether it's covert or really full-fledged, it exists. We do speak, and I know people get upset, and Rainey and I sometimes at that discussion, we speak of the horrible things that happened to the Jewish people, the Holocaust. Well, North America in many ways had its own Holocaust. The title in the brochure that you had me speaking about a land claim. I want to tell you that I will not speak to you about a land claim. We have been taught and we have been told by our elders that you cannot claim. You don't need to claim what you have always owned, that the ancestor left us. But governments have imposed, and the example I gave in a recent brief press conference, they're going to be holding a lot of celebration for the arrival of Champlain in the Ottawa area here in 1613, came to the Chaudière Falls, and my example was that when Champlain arrived, we welcomed him into our house. We didn't give him our house. But the unfortunate thing is that in 2013, we are now standing outside our house. And we are having to tell that man in the house, it's our house, and he's saying, prove it to us. And you know what you need to do to prove it? You need to follow my rules in order to prove it. And if you don't like it, you can come to my court to prove it. We have nothing to prove. This land has been a Anishinaabe land. The Algonquin communities, and before I get into that, we do recognize that the Anishinaabe people on this territory, and I'll try to maybe pass around this map here of the territory, we do recognize that we encountered other nations, the Iroquois people, the Huron people, the Odawa, other nations, the Cree, the Ojibwe. We formed alliances with them. These people sometimes spent a little while in our territory. Sometimes they spent quite a long time. It depended. But the territory remains and always will be Algonquin land. And I realize that when we talk about our broad Anishinaabe territory, people say, well, isn't that Mohawk land? To a modern day community, we needed to do what was right with these human remains. I should tell you this, that the first time that we went to visit with the human remains at the museum, and the first time that they opened the cabinets, and we had been told, well, how do you know that they are Algonquin? And again, we said, it doesn't matter. We have a responsibility to ensure, you know, the teachings of our ancestors, that these be returned back to the earth from which they came. So we pursued that. But the first time that they opened the cabinets, and we had some elders with us, we had invited to come and see the human remains and the burial artifacts. And I always say, from that moment on, whatever happened there, we knew that there was no turning back. And we fought for 2 years to get these human remains, and there were many. There were women, there were men, there were children who had been born in this land and died in this land. And after 2 years and a lot of work and connecting with our brothers and sisters and from the Haida Nation and learning from them and using their ideas to pursue it, the museum at the end relented. But they only relented after we told them, because we were being told that they would not return it. And We're now in the month of March, and we told them on June 21st, 2005, we're coming to get them, whether you agree with it or not. And we said, we will be coming with our birch bark boxes, we'll be coming with our medicines, and if you turn us away, we are prepared to wait 1 hour, 1 day, 1 month, 1 year, 10 years, whatever. We were going to pile all of this on the street. They, in the end, relented and said, okay, we agree, and you'll be able to bring them back to get them reburied, along with the burial artifacts, which we did. I can tell you, that the day we went we spent putting the bones and the artifacts of our ancestors back into the boxes was really, for everyone that participated in it, primarily women, the most fulfilling day that I've ever lived. It was an incredible, incredible experience that here we were thousands of years later doing this, what we had been taught, doing it for these people who obviously didn't know what the future potentially held, or maybe they did know. Maybe they had predicted that this would happen, but that we were coming to do this. And I've shared this story with people before, and I did like today, I was wearing a black shirt that day, not anything to do with that, it just happened that I went with a black shirt. And I remember at the end of the day, we were all done doing the 100 boxes. Many boxes we had put the bones in, and keep in mind you do it one bone at a time, one rib bone. And I always remember standing there, and we were all quiet because we were looking at each other. We know that we had done something, we didn't figure it out, but I remember standing there and looking at myself, and looking at my shirt. And my shirt was all gray. And in that moment I realized that gray was from the bones, from the dust of the bones. And I felt a connection with the land, with these people. You know, some of you may know Maslow's hierarchy of needs, that self-actualization, where it all comes together, all the meaning of why we've been put here, and how we're connected. It all came. It came and it went. We had done what was right. Now we, in turn, collectively, Indigenous, non-Indigenous people, need to do what's right for the land, need to do what's right for each other in that respect. But it's got to go beyond words. The suffering of our people, their children in foster care, the land and the resources being taken, while people suffer on the other side, where equality doesn't exist. Racism is alive and well, in many ways. You know, when Chief Spence were...
that we have back home, it's a bear medicine bundle ceremony. We call it a ghost dance, but it actually originates from your people. We connected William Commanda and some of his teachings to our people back home in Alberta. At the time there was only one in Alberta and one in Montana that was still done, but it came right from your people, the Algonquins, up this way, that ceremony. And that 4 fires was with the elders, it was with the youth, the young people, and it was with the women and the men. And from those 4 fires, what they would do is they get each family structure to nominate one spokesperson. And that one spokesperson, obviously a language speaker, and I just want to say, you know, it's such a good feeling to come to a meeting these days and hear the language spoken. Leanne, everyone that's spoken, our good friend Niigan, our new friend.
Homesteader in Alberta from England. My dad taught for 1 year in a residential school, so I'm here. Anyway, my question is kind of a follow-up to the last one in a way. I'm here because I really believe that we do have to take care of our Mother Earth. It's my total commitment. And the water and the air. And I'm very worried about climate change. I'm very worried about pipelines, all these things. And I see the First Nations as leading us in this battle. Yes. It's so important. But I also am in conversation with